Hello. Good afternoon and welcome everybody to this interesting panel. Uh, Clearly, we went through a period during COVID time when all the offline was shut, so it was all about online and D2C. But now we see that the offline side stores are again opening up, and people now are following a very seamless journey between the whole online space and offline space. And for because of that, now it's very important for the D2C brands and the online space to be able to give a very high level of customer experience so that you are able to both attract the customers and then convert them as their journey is proceeding. We see a lot of people searching for stuff online, then maybe going offline, doing the touch and feel before buying. There are a lot of categories like electronics, which is very standardized items, which see almost a 30-40% penetration now from an online perspective. But other categories, say something like a beauty, personal care, or home furnishings, these require a lot more of touch and feel, and we see people, consumers, wanting to have that in-store experience as well. Even today, if you look at cash on delivery, it's almost 30-40% in various categories, which means there is certain amount of concern which people still feel with regards to ordering and paying online. So it's important to understand what are some of the leading brands in this space are actually doing to be able to provide that higher level of customer experience and to ensure that they're able to do conversions and continue with retaining those customers coming back on a long-term basis. So with that, we will sort of start off and really starting off with how do you sort of target your customers and how are you able to attract them? How are you able to target your ad spends towards them? And I'll start with sort of one of the leading brands now, MamaEarth, in terms of getting from them the understanding about how they are doing it and how they have been successful.
Yeah. So in terms of, I think everybody knows that during COVID times, the D2C brands scaled a lot. MamaEarth also was the part of that journey. And we made sure that fundamentals are very clear for us, the customer experience and how we talk to consumer, how we uh, uh, pitch to the consumers was the first and foremost. So first part was the pre-purchase journey cycle. We made sure that when the consumers are interacting with the communications, they are really in line with what we want to pitch to them and made sure that all the customer communications are personalized according to what the consumer needs are, what the consumer problems are. So for one of the brands called Dermaco, we launched the experience that you can analyze your face and we will recommend what type of product you should use depending on what type of problems you have. And we invested a lot on tech, lot on what type of funnels we want to make. So people were very much happy with those funnels, people interacting with those funnels. In I think a couple of months time, 30 to 40% of revenues are coming from those AR and VR funnel. And it is really important for us as well to make sure that the accuracy of those funnels are really high. And hence we started exploring those lines to a much larger extent. Second, onto when we talk to consumers, uh, communication was first and foremost priority. We were not able to explore much onto the offline market. So we started one thing called let's make sure that each and every product we ask consumers as well that what type of things they want in the market. So we launched one of the products in-house, which is more onto the lines of how we can talk to the consumers much more easily. There is a lot of consumers coming to our D2C website, how we can make sure that we can talk to those funnels. So we launched the in-house tool where it's more of a consumer can give the feedback, talking to the consumers onto the website. So we can ask the feedback, okay, what's the next product you want? Okay, what communication you resonate to the most, X, A, B, C, or D? Where do you think that we should represent? How should we launch an exclusive store or not? All those things we are started asking consumer onto our website. And we have seen that all the product funnels, the product launch funnels, whether we should go deep onto maybe some city or not, what type of marketing mediums we should do, media vehicles we should, all answers started coming from the consumers. And hence we have realized that those funnels are really strong and just the people who are coming to the website, browsing the funnels, if they are asking those questions to those customers, they are ready to answer, interact. And we have divided the question into two parts. First is the objective part, where we can maybe figure out a much better answers, and subjective part where they will give the feedback as well. And if you see currently the current Multani Mitti range which we have launched, consumer suggested us, we think that Multani Mitti is one of the range you should launch. Hina is one of the range which is suggested by the consumers. And hence it's more of a innovation led by the consumers, what they want and how we have integrated those funnels. Currently they are doing a much more revenue in the market, and we made sure that the growth is not a business oriented, but a consumer led and what our consumer really want for us.
Great, thank you. That was very interesting. So from the beauty personal care category, we'll move on to the fashion side. And Aparna has been doing some very interesting stuff with regards to sort of traditional fashion and providing it to consumers not just in India but worldwide. So two, three questions. One is, how do you identify the need for the traditional fashion items? And also in terms of, since there are a lot of international consumers, how are you able to sort of give the customer comfort with regards to what they are buying, the authenticity of it, as well as they don't really get a chance to touch and feel. So how do you really understand the quality of high quality silk, saris, when just looking at a website?
So I think part one of your question was, identifying your customer base. So 95% of our customer base is global, right? So we're basically targeting the 18 million NRIs who are there outside of India, right? Now, as far as the customer journey is concerned, we want to provide the best of both. So there are some advantages that online provides, and there are some advantages that offline provides. So online, people can just do it at the comfort of their home, right? They don't have to step out. It's very easy to shortlist, do all that, right at their convenient time. Now, what offline provides in this particular sector is the touch and feel. When you see something, you feel like, it is authentic. And when you're actually working on a computer, you feel like you're interacting with the computer. So one, what we do is make the customer journey very seamless. It doesn't feel like, they're browsing through a clutter. Right? So UX, there's a lot of tech that we've deployed, made it really rich and easy to navigate. So there are filters, people can sort by categories, by colors, by price range, and so on. The other thing is, make them feel like they are supported. They're not just alone by themselves, right? So that's where customer service, AI-enabled chat, all of that comes in. And as far as authenticity is concerned, a lot of things, especially in the apparel industry, I think people, the major concerns are, what if the color is not the same? What if the texture is not the same? So we do lay a lot of emphasis on, photography, make it as close as possible to the real thing. And as far as trust goes, I think that comes from customer reviews, right? When we all go to a new website, the first thing that we all do is, check out the reviews. Are they, really trustworthy? And, we've earned that trust very organically. And we now have like 7,000 plus 5-star reviews in a short period of time. So I think it's coming together of a lot of these that makes, customers get the best of both online and offline in one.
Okay, thank you. So we'll now move to the other side. We are looking at NRI customers here. From there, we will move to area where we are looking at getting a lot of global brands into India. And I think we'll get down to kids as well. So we have all the products available for babies, and we would like to understand how you are able to sort of give that comfort to Indian families, new parents, and how do you build a community to be able to provide them stuff just beyond products, also a lot of content and knowledge.
So I'm Akshay from All Things Baby. So we are simplifying parenting in India by bringing in brands which were globally known And a lot of people were looking for these brands or products early on also, and they used to ask friends and family to carry it in their luggages, or they used to go on baby moon to bring these products. And a lot of categories have become specialized categories. We noticed like maternity pads as one of the category which was growing up, where people earlier were just using sanitary pads. Like in breast care for new moms, there were a lot of products which were not available regularly in India. But when we went deeper, we realized that those are areas where our audience is looking for. And it's just because of the penetration of the Instagram and the global influencers, which all the new consumers have started following it. And that trend was growing up. And we started with the belief that if these products are brought through official channels, they would work. And we started that in 2017, our imports of brands. And we also had our own brand in learning and toys at the same time. And with that journey, we started bringing in brands one after the other. And we saw that the consumers started reacting and asking us more and more products. And at this point, we are managing around 30 odd brands. And what's the biggest value system which consumers are seeking? That if I'm buying this product, would I get service? And the new parents are also looking at products which could be used for longer duration, which is not just like I buy it and it breaks down. So one of the areas which we saw quality was a predominant factor, and baby as a category, there's a lot of stuff has been done on fashion in baby or to do with FMCG. But when you look at strollers as a category or cots, you don't think of any major brands in the country which has come in. So those were the areas which was underserved, which we addressed with these brands. And we use consumers as one of the major source of brand sourcing. We used to post out questions in the community called the Mommy Network, which we built. Which are the brands which you are looking at? And that taught us the brands which we should bring in instead of we just going and scouting. So consumers taught us about the brands, and these brands were already a global brands in different markets like Stokey, Baby Zen, Biaba. If you're familiar with these categories, you would relate to those brands. And we see an upside, and we see that global move coming in. And trust was a lever where we also used influencers who could relate to the product, and the consumers were also relating to it. Recently, we signed up with Masoom Meenawala to go out there because we felt that this category is a lot about trust. If you're bringing in these products, are the people relating it with the authenticity and the community piece? So two major levers was community and influencers, which worked for us when we were delivering the category.
Okay, thank you. We are also getting into very interesting niche categories. The whole innerwear category is something which is seeing a lot of interest and changes. So I would like to hear from Gaurav about sort of how they are going about targeting some of their customers, and how are you able to differentiate with regards to the various existing brands which are already there in the market?
Thank you for the question. So I'm part of this brand called Tailor and Circus. So when we set out on this journey to build an underwear brand in India, something which we realized was most brands in this space portrayed a very unrealistic expectation in terms of how you would look wearing the product, and that was all over the place on billboards, on television ads, and we definitely felt, since underwear is a product for everybody, it has to be relatable to everybody, and because of that, we've sort of gone down this journey where we've worked with a community itself, a community of users. Since the very first photo shoot we did, we only had people who were within our own networks to start with, people who wanted to have an opportunity to showcase themselves, showcase their skin in front of a camera, and even today that has been one of the very like a strongest differentiator to us. So people come and say, hey, we love your ads. It's not it's showing something realistic, and it shows beauty in a different way, and that has been a very positive reinforcement for us. When we're trying to sort of attract audience to come to our website and buy from us, something we do consciously is in our ads we don't try to oversell. So we sort of just try showing, how, like a very visual experience of what it would be, to see a person, a real person wearing an underwear as a model, right? And So there we just want to, plant a seed in everybody's minds, and their audience sort of understands what the brand is about, right? Of course, there are also a lot of people who get, put off, and they say, hey, these guys seem like they're making, underwear for obese people. We promote obesity. Obviously, this is not true, but in these kind of cases, we just know that this is not a customer we want to acquire, and for a lot of people, it's this something positive, and the expectations are set right even before a customer comes and sees a website. And why that's important is usually, across the world, on average, 7 out of 10 people who come to a brand's website don't come back ever again. So you have a very limited opportunity to sort of retain a consumer once they come to your website, and setting the expectations right could help you go a long way in retaining that customer post their first purchase. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. That's interesting how you're able to uh, get your models to relate to the consumer itself to be able to ensure a higher conversion levels. Uh, Moving from there to Arush from Just Herbs, and again the whole Ayurveda traditional medicine is something which is catching up, and people are realizing the benefits of it. So would like to understand both how are you able to get some of these new formulations which are relevant to our requirements, and also the whole requirement of touch and feel trials which are required in this category. How are you managing that while also retaining the growth on D2C side?
Yeah, sure. So thanks for that. I think Ayurvedic beauty is where is the space that we sort of occupy, and I think we're again sort of serving that to a millennial or a Gen Z consumer, right? Who's Instagram savvy, who lives on the internet, etc. And I think what our learning of the past 8 to 9 years around this has been that we've moved through cycles, right? So 8 years ago, being paraben free and free from XYZ was a novelty. Today it's basically hygiene, right? And that's a good thing, because that's how people trade up in sort of value terms also when they purchase beauty products. What we're seeing is akin to what Abhishek said earlier as well. I think staying close to the consumer has been really, really critical. And I think what really has worked for us is we've actually been making products along with the consumer, right? So we've launched about 5 or 8 products which continue to be our iconic bestsellers, which were actually made along with consumers. And when I say that, it's not just about gathering feedback on the website. Of course, we have that. We have a section, on our homepage. We've had it for years, which lets you submit an idea, a product idea, which lets you check what ideas we are working on. But then what happens is, then if you fill that up, then when we are crowdsourcing the next product, we actually send you a prototype of it, right? And we are able to do that because we are actually D2C and actually vertically integrated in the true sense, because we actually make the products ourselves, right? So right from procuring the raw material to making the finished product and getting it into your hands, we control the entire sort of a supply chain, right? So I think that has worked beautifully for us, and it reflects in our repeat rates. It reflects in the customer love, in the NPS that the brand gets, and and the lowering of CAC over time. Even with a lot of inflationary pressure on costs of customer acquisition.
Okay, that's great. I think you touched upon various important points which are now facing the industry, which is the growth has been there. How do you eventually get to profitability? And the whole thing around how do you reduce that customer acquisition cost? How do you ensure higher level of retention over a period of time, and hence also improve your ROAS that you are able to get? And I think some of that change and mindset is very important from an overall industry perspective to be able to get there. Uh, Let me next move to Ravi from Skippi Lollipops. I think it's a. I must thank him for reviving that whole category, and I have missed it a lot over the years. So it'll be interesting how you are able to take it to a larger and larger audience in India, and how we can ensure that the next generation also continues loving the product.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Firstly, I think I'm one of the brands here who's more of an offline than an online, an omni-channel, I would say. And we as a brand decided and understood that D2C is here to stay. We have to be a part of it. I come from a traditional family business where more of the sales would happen in an offline kirana store rather than in a D2C platform. Uh, but then I started to learn and understand, especially after we were on Shark Tank India, things changed for us dramatically overnight. And we saw that a lot of demand came to us from multiple cities across India, places where we never heard of. Few cities, literally, we had to Google to understand whether even if it was a part of India or was it some from some other country. And we realized that for a player like us, especially at our early stages, getting the things right is very important because consumer expectations have really gone high these days, especially in the time of Amazons and Flipkart, where people say 1 day delivery, and now there are brands which say 15 minute mein delivery. It's really hard for us to catch up on this kind of a speed. Some person sitting in the remotest part of Jharkhand expects that कि मैं आज order करूँगा और मुझे कल delivery मिल जाएगी. That turns out to be a big challenge for a startup like us. So scaling up to that, the logistics expectations was a big challenge for us all the while. But yes, thanks to these amazing platforms which has come up, which has helps us connect to multiple service providers, actually allowed us to connect to more than 15 to 20,000 pin codes across India in a jiffy. Also, we have realized that consumers love anything of great quality, and they're willing to pay the price for it. India and Indian consumers have got deep pockets. There's no doubt about it. They wouldn't hesitate to order bulk. They wouldn't hesitate to order earlier than ever. And we have understood that as long as the product or the service that we're trying to sell online is good enough for them to trust and understand that it is for their benefits, they will not mind coming back and every time. And honestly, in the ice popsicle segment, we are the only brand which started off in this space firstly. So we had the advantage of being the only one in the platform, but that does not anyway quantify or justify that we are there going to be getting repeat orders from consumers, or consumers have no other choice but they'll come and buy from us. That was not the case. We had to constantly evolve ourselves in terms of delivering great value to our consumers, not just in terms of faster shipping, but also in terms of value addition, in terms of any kind of a feedback that they wanted to give us. We didn't even have a ticket raising platform with us for a very long time, only until we realized that we need to do that, because it was very hard for consumers to start emailing it to us. So we integrated ourselves with different WhatsApp channels, which allowed consumers to have great communication with us. We integrated with ticket raising platforms as well. So slowly and gradually, as a startup, we actually evolved to the demands of the consumer. And as long as the trust of the consumer is always on par with anything else, we all know that ice popsicle or ice Pepsis, which we had in our school days, always had this big funda which our mothers used to say कि ये गटर का पानी का बना है, ये अच्छा नहीं है, and falana falana. So that was always there. But we had to reimpose ourselves, stating to our consumers that this is made from RO water, this is of great quality, it is 100% natural. And we stuck to it. One thing which we kept bouncing off our customers all the time was one motto which me and my co-founder, my wife Anuja, started off with is, if we cannot serve it to our own kids, we will not serve it to our customers. And we kept giving this value statement to our consumers all the time through our email campaigns and stuff like that, which resonated with parents and consumers pretty well. That when a brand is looking forward to be so trustful that they are not serving it to their own kids, unless and until they are sure about it, the consumers are never going to come in line. So we started to see the trust building across our platform, and consumers kept on coming in very regularly. Honestly speaking, a lot of people ask me, what is your CAC? Our CAC is very minimum, because we were not all, first of all, not very online centric. These days we are focusing on it. And because the product worked, I think everything else falls in line after that. And today, proudly saying, in the F&B space, we are the first brand who is actually, I got this inspiration from all the big mobile brands, Samsung and iPhone, who say, pre-order now to get AirPods free and stuff like that. We are the first brand in the F&B space who's actually pre-ordering, because we're coming up with a new variant. So we started a pre-order campaign. And in the first 2 days itself, we booked more than 3,000 orders in a pre-order, where customers will get the shipment on starting from the 15th of June itself. So I think a lot of innovation can be done in the F&B space and a D2C space. We need not shy away from experimenting and probably even failing. I don't see that as a problem with us. But yeah, I think D2C has given us a great leverage in terms of even marketing and branding our brand across to cities and places where probably a physical reach was not possible for us. So that is how it has been great help so far. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
And after having all that sugar, let me turn quickly to our pharmacy people. So Akash, if you could tell us how you can help us keep remaining healthy while we can enjoy all the food which is available in India.
Yeah, no, sure. I think somewhere we should do a tie-up, Skippi, so that medicines
I'll,
also get
and I'll just add along
delivered.
with that, especially I think interesting to hear about the ability to ensure repeat customers, because it's
Correct.
the category again where that's what you're looking at. So how do you sort of managing that? And then from a payment perspective as well, there have been lots of changes with regards to storing data, storing credit card details. So how are some of that issues also getting managed?
Correct. So I think one of the cues I'm going to pick up from what you said, right? Profitability, where I think every brand out here today is trying to grow profitably, right? Gone are the days where there's an influx of capital and you can acquire customers at all costs. So I think that sort of very much resonates with us at Pharmeasy as well, right? Where there are multiple initiatives that we launched internally to acquire customers profitably. I think one of the key target audiences for us is a chronic customer, right? Simply put, chronic is somebody who has a diabetes or a cardiac issue or a issue basically that elongates over multiple years, right? And what we realized, of course, is that the LTV, the lifetime value of the customer, is much higher if the customer has a chronic disease for let's say diabetes, right? So if you have fever, you'll buy medicine once, you'll use it for next 3 4 days and then it's gone. But if you have, let's say, diabetes, or if you have a cardiac issue, unfortunately, you will be buying medicines month on month, right? And I think that turns out to be a huge retention factor for us. And in terms of, it speaks in terms of volumes and average order values as well, right? Because I mean, God forbid, if anybody has somebody sick in the house, you will know that your medicine bills are at least 5 times that of a young person who barely spends less than 500 rupees a month on buying any kind of medicines, right? There are people who spend 5,000, 10,000, 15,000 rupees on medicines per month. So that's where the discounted medicines factor doesn't pinch you so much because your volume is larger. You are targeting a chronic customer that is going to come to you again and again every month, and that turns out to be a very very profitable bucket, simply from the perspective because the AOV is high, the shipping cost doesn't pinch you, the complete supply chain sort of fits into the unit economics, and that sort of helps us retain customers sort of profitably, right? And today we have multiple programs of Pharmeasy, including Pharmeasy Plus, that is targeted towards these chronic customers, and it's for pure benefits, right? There is additional discount on diagnostics. There's additional discounts on video consultation with doctors, because this segment of customers for us is sort of, let's say, our power user key segment, right? Because they are going to need all these services, like it or not. Again, very unfortunate for the customer, but they are going to use all the services put together, right? So I think that really helps us retain customers profitably. And another approach, actually, this was, of course, we have heard a lot about the online acquisition of customers. Targeting a customer online is, of course, a completely one set of ball game as compared to acquiring a customer offline, right? In offline, to get insights, to understand your customer, who is going where, is very difficult, and that's where to target a particular source or a platform where your kind of customer is coming is extremely crucial, right? So something that we started about a year ago or so is that today we know, after a doctor consultation in a clinic, the most logical step for a patient is to go out and buy medicines or go out and get a diagnostic test done. Now you will either try to walk around for 10-20 meters trying to figure out which is the nearest pharmacy, and you will find one, or you will try to Google and find a diagnostic center nearby. We said, why even walk that 10-20 meters, right? Let's be in the clinic itself. So we launched sort of a virtual pharmacy, virtual diagnostic model where we have our sort of representative stand around the clinic, and as soon as the patient is consulted, he's asked the question, do you want medicine or do you want diagnostic test, right? So what I'm trying to get to is, uh, we captured a platform, or we captured an offline platform, which is polyclinics, doctor clinics, and so on, where customers are exactly those customers that you are going to target. And I think that's one route that one needs to take even in the offline world, right? So I think both online and offline have a very different customer and customer retention approach. And I think just lastly on the payment gateway part, we believe COD is here to stay for sure. I think in spite of being 7 years in business in terms of medicine delivery, having 55% market share, we still have enough customers that want cash on delivery. But at the same time, thanks to UPI and the education that the government is providing for online payments, I think we see more customers pay online. Nevertheless, we do treat our online paying customers differently, which means if you are paying upfront, you are less likely to cancel your order of medicines or diagnostics. And therefore, it automatically it goes up in the prioritization in terms of delivery or the home service that we provide, right? Because a cash on delivery customer can cancel 5 minutes before it is going to be delivered. So that is for sure a challenge in COD, and what we assure on online upfront payment is priority delivery for sure. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, great. That's quite interesting. I'll also pick up with sort of one of the important aspects which I think a lot of you talked about. COD is still pretty high, which means the consumer is still worried about paying online, wants to eventually pay cash. There are also lots of challenges with regards to the whole abandonment of cart. People are sort of putting stuff in, they are getting right till the end stage of buying, but then there are challenges. Sometimes internet connectivity, sometimes other problems of paying. So would just like to understand from Shubhra how you are helping the whole D2C industry with regards to solving the whole payment related problems and giving the consumer the comfort that they can trust some of these delivery gateways, payment gateways. If there are cancellations, they'll get their money back and provide them the whole gamut of options which are now available.
Right. It's very interesting to see how D2C brands are putting in so much of might and muscle to get their customers' retention, and the acquisition costs are so high. And it would be a nightmare if these cart conversions don't play out well for them, which is where payment companies and gateways like PayU play a very important role in cart conversion. We look at invalid email IDs, we look at invalid zip codes. There's a lot of validations on the address which is done to ensure that the cart conversions are higher. And it's not just the payments aspect that payments companies look at, there's a whole gamut of insights which these payment companies have to understand and realize what kind of offers can be nudged. There are tie-ups with cardholder issuing banks to nudge the right offers at the right time. There is recommendation AI algorithms which run at the back end to help nudge the most right payment option to the customer to ensure the card conversion happens. And as far as security is concerned, PayU is at the forefront of running a risk engine. It has velocity checks. You have customized rules built in for each customer and merchant category type. We look at nudges, we look at cyber threats, leaving D2C brands with complete handover on the payment conversion aspect to us. There's a lot of trust also in brands like PayU because there is a constant team monitoring any kind of attacks or specific areas or geographies or cards or bins which are exposed to any kind of bin attacks, etc., where we see a lot of cyber threats coming in. Payment gateways also take away the headache from D2C brands on safeguard, like Girish was talking about. There are a lot of regulatory changes which keep coming in. There are new payment options and modes which keep coming in, like a UPI on credit, a BNPL. So what we do is we lay a very easy to integrate infrastructure, a single payment gateway checkout option for D2C brands, where there is an API redirection to our customized checkout page, which ensures all these payment options appear, which are relevant to the D2C brands, to ensure that the customer is retained and makes the purchase. In addition, I think what is important is we also bring for fashion and apparels, there is a huge NRI market. And PayU is very focused on cross-border payments. We have a large focus on card payments, which are cross-border. We have a large focus on alternate payments, which are cross-border. So any NRI segment categorization for PayU becomes very easy, and we are the go-to partners for taking your brand global. From that standpoint, we cover all these aspects. And like Girish was also mentioning, there is an experience of a customer which is beyond payments, which is a post payments. So how is the refunds happening? Is the customer getting the refund back in time? We have the best optimized stats and best payment gateways in place that ensure there is an SLA and TAT meant for refunds. We have websites and dashboards which give insights to the merchants that this is your return to order, this is your abandonment, these are your refunds. Your refunds are higher on a particular cardholder or issuer, which makes them nudge the right payment options, knowing that refunds are higher in a certain area, sector, or category. So these are kind of insights that we bring on the table, though it looks like a payments mode, but it's much more in terms of giving insights, giving refunds, a good recon settlement, and a post-payment experience, chargeback, refund, grievance retrieval. So it ensures that the energy that these brands are putting in personalization of their customer journey is reflecting in the payments also. So the customer is getting a personalized payment experience, a personalized checkout page, which makes them build the trust factor that, yes, I'm still on a Shobitam, or I'm still on a Tailor and Circus, I'm still on an All Things Baby website. And it builds that trust in them to continue the transaction and convert for the brand to ship the goods and services. Cart conversion is also very important, because the moment these customers move to a marketplace, there's a huge revenue leakage for D2C brands. They would rather have the customers sell from their own websites, which is where we bring in all these offer engines and VAS services, post payments, recommendation options, to ensure that the journey is seamless for the D2C brand and there is no leakage of carts, and they see a higher conversion rate.
Thank you. I think that is a great support which you're providing to the whole D2C industry. And I think a lot of the new entrepreneurs would depend upon it to ensure that they're able to scale up rapidly. So I think it's been a great set of conversation. I think we have some of the most innovative players in the industry here today. And we have got to hear quite a few interesting things that they're doing. I'll briefly try to summarize. I think one of the critical points that we saw was about identifying the need. I mean, sort of whether it's about the whole traditional stuff required by NRIs in India, being able to target them, as Aparna talked about, or identifying lollipops, as Ravi has done, and to be able to scale it up. So really starts with identifying the need, then understanding the customer journey, as Akash talked about after meeting the doctor, what are you doing, and really intervening in some parts of that to make the customer journey simpler. Next is about the creating awareness, and it's not just about spending money on advertisement, but it's about how you educate the customer. So whether it's about MamaEarth, and which has been doing a great job with regards to the community building and a lot of beauty tips that they're able to provide, or All Things Baby, which again talking about a lot of the challenges faced by new parents and how do you help to solve them. From there, whether it's about product development, and again in Just Herbs, looking at new products, involving customers and their requirements as you develop those. Also having various different AR VR tools to be able to give specific recommendations based on customer requirements from a beauty personal care category. Some of those things are also being done very importantly. And later on, as we start getting customers in, how do you ensure their retention? Both in terms of being able to provide a much wider set of products, as well as providing various different services as Pharmeasy is doing, and to be able to ensure that customers keep coming, and hence your long-term cost of acquisition of customers and your ability to provide him greater satisfaction goes up. And finally, to be able to make this whole thing work seamlessly, ensuring that you have a strong payment gateway at the back, which can give the necessary amount of comfort to the customers. Even today, the COD is very high, but customers are getting more and more comfortable. And as they see greater trust in the overall system, we can also expect that the CODs will reduce, which also helps with regards to returns and the cost which it takes in terms of servicing some of these clients. So thank you all in terms of getting all these very interesting insights to our audience here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.